It was one of those perfect Halloween nights, the kind you remember from when you were a kid. A crisp autumn chill was in the air, just enough to make your breath fog up, and the scent of wood smoke and decaying leaves hung heavy. The streets were practically buzzing with excitement, a river of tiny goblins, princesses, and superheroes flowing from one brightly lit porch to the next. I was out with my 2 kids, my son dressed as a surprisingly convincing zombie and my daughter as a sparsely wand-waving fairy. They were darting ahead, their plastic pumpkin buckets already starting to get heavy. Everything felt normal, festive, exactly as it should be. That's when she appeared. We were walking down Maple Avenue, a street famous for its over-top decorations, when this other kid just sort of materialized next to us. She wasn't with any other group, just suddenly there, walking in step with my daughter. Her costume was what first caught my eye. It was a strange, handmade mask, the kind you might make in a hurry. It looked like it was made from papier-mâché, but it was lumpy and uneven, with crudely painted features that were just slightly askew. The eye holes were too small, just dark little punctures. She wore a simple, dark-colored tunic and pants, nothing that gave away a specific character. "Hi," she said, her voice a little raspy, a little lower than you'd expect for a kid her age. She looked at my daughter. "I'm in your class at school." "Art class." My daughter, always friendly, just smiled and said, "Oh, cool." She didn't seem to recognize her, but kids meet so many other kids. I didn't think much of it at first. The strange girl just fell into our group, holding out a plain pillowcase for candy. She didn't ask if she could join. She just did. The other kids, in their sugar-fueled excitement, barely noticed. They even started sharing their candy with her, pouring handfuls of chocolates and lollipops into her sack. But as the night wore on, a feeling of unease started to creep up my spine. It was the little things. The way she moved, for one. She didn't skip or run like the other kids. She had this slow, deliberate walk, almost like she was conserving energy. And she never spoke again after that first introduction. She just watched. Her head, covered by that unsettling mask, would turn slowly, following my kids with an unnerving intensity. Through those tiny eye holes, I felt like I was being scrutinized. The silence from her was louder than all the joyful shouting from the other trick-or-treaters combined. Then I noticed her hands as she reached out to take a candy bar my son offered her, and for a split second, the sleeve of her costume slid up her arm. Her hand wasn't a child's hand, it was thin and bony. Yes, but the skin was wrinkled, covered in veins and age spots. It looked like the hand of a very old woman. I blinked, thinking the dim streetlights were playing tricks on me. But I saw it again a few minutes later when she adjusted her mask. There was no mistake. Those were not the hands of a 10-year-old. My heart started to pound a little faster. Who was this person? Why was she pretending to be a child and following my family? My unease turned to genuine fear when I noticed the other figure. About half a block behind us, keeping a consistent distance, was a tall, slender person. They were completely cloaked in black, but their mask was what stood out. It was a simple, featureless, black cat mask, the kind you can buy at any party store. But on this person, in the dead of night, it was terrifying. They never got closer, never got farther away. Every time we stopped at a house, they would stop too, melting into the shadows of a large oak tree or hiding behind a parked car. They never spoke, never moved, except to follow us. It was clear they were watching our group. Or more specifically, they were watching the strange girl with a lumpy mask. I tried to act casual, not wanting to alarm my own children. I'd glance over my shoulder, pretending to look for a car, and every single time, the black cat was there, a silent, ominous guardian or something else. The connection between them felt undeniable. Was this the girl's parent? If so, why the creepy costume and the silent, stalking behavior? Why not just walk with their child? Nothing about it made sense. The festive atmosphere of the evening had completely evaporated for me, replaced by a cold dread. My kids started to feel it too. The strange girl's constant, silent staring was getting to them. My daughter, usually so outgoing, had grown quiet and was sticking close to my leg. My son stopped trying to talk to the girl after his first few attempts were met with that unnerving, silent stare from behind the lumpy mask. "Dad," my son whispered, tugging on my jacket. "I don't like her. Can we go home?" My daughter nodded, her eyes wide. That was all I needed to hear. The fun was over. I turned to the group and announced cheerfully, She stood perfectly still in the middle of the sidewalk under a flickering streetlight, watching us go. I practically power-walked my kids home, holding their hands tightly. I kept looking over my shoulder. The girl was still standing there, a small, motionless figure. And further down the street, the tall figure in the black cat mask was also standing still, watching. It felt like we were being allowed to leave. As soon as our front door clicked shut behind us, I locked it and drew the curtains. My kids, relieved to be back in the safety of our home, immediately forgot the strange encounter and dumped their candy all over the living room floor, but I couldn't forget. I peeked through the blinds a few minutes later. The street was empty. Both the girl and her silent escort were gone. They had vanished as suddenly as they had appeared. We never saw her again. The next day at school pickup, I subtly asked my daughter's art teacher if a new student had joined the class. The teacher said no, there was no new girl. To this day, I have no idea who that was under the mask. Was it just a bizarre prank? Or was it something else entirely? I still get a chill when I think about those old, wrinkled hands and the silent, watchful figure in the black cat mask. Halloween has never felt quite the same since. Thanks for listening to my story. If you have any creepy experiences of your own, I'd love to hear about them in the comments. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more strange tales. Stay safe out there.